Grace O'Malley's podcast, Disgraceful, came out today, and she is throwing some shade. This first episode is with Whitney Cummings, not surprising given that Grace has gone on tour with her. She's a great, huge guest to get for her first episode. And within the first 5 minutes, Whitney was throwing a ton of shade at Dave Portnoy. She took the approach in a comedic way, explaining what an HR department is to Grace and saying that is something she has never experienced before, because we all know Barstool handles things differently when it comes to HR. And a lot of what happened with Grace and Brianna's situation would typically be an HR situation that wouldn't fly in a lot of companies. A lot of this episode of the podcast is structured around what it takes to be a good co-host. It was done in a very strategic and comedic way because Grace said she was interviewing Whitney to become her co-host. To which Whitney said that they cannot be both friends and co-hosts because that doesn't typically work out, which we saw with Grace and Brie. Grace also joked about how her entire salary was spewed out onto the internet because Dave was transparent about what Grace made at Barstool. Basically, you can tell that there are still a lot of hurt feelings going on about the entire situation, which is not surprising given that it hasn't been that long since it all happened. Grace now has her own platform, though, to speak out on. I wouldn't be surprised if we're hearing a little bit of a response to this from Brie or Dave, because they're both not really ones to hesitate and speak out on something like this. But I think it's clear that those relationships are pretty much done at this point, and that's probably for the better. Let me know what you guys are thinking about this in the comments.